Behind closed doors, everyone has their secrets. Some are small, harmless things. Others are so dark that they can tear apart everything you thought you knew about someone. But what happens when that secret becomes so terrifying that the person carrying it would go to any extreme to keep it hidden? In a quiet suburban neighborhood, a tragedy occurred that no one could have predicted. A family, once full of life, suddenly disappeared without a trace. The story that emerged from the investigation was one of horror, manipulation, and betrayal. But as the authorities soon discovered, the true horror wasn't just in the murders themselves, it was in the chilling secret that drove a man to annihilate his entire family. This is the true story of how a husband murdered his wife and children to keep his horrifying secret hidden from the world. The Thompson family appeared to live the perfect life. Michael Thompson, a 38-year-old father, was well respected in his community. He was a loving husband to his wife, Sarah, and a devoted father to their two young children, 11-year-old Emily and 8-year-old Luke. The Thompsons were the kind of family that everyone envied. They lived in a beautiful home in a quiet, affluent neighborhood, with smiling faces and a seemingly ideal life. Neighbors often described Michael as the perfect dad, hands-on, caring, and always involved in his children's activities. He and Sarah had been married for over a decade, and from all outward appearances, their relationship was strong. Michael worked as a financial consultant, a well-paid job that allowed the family to live comfortably. Sarah was a stay-at-home mom, dedicated to their children and home. But behind the perfect facade, something dark was lurking. No one knew it, but Michael was hiding a secret, one that would eventually tear apart his world. Every day, Michael would come home to his family, smile, and carry on as if everything was just as it seemed. But it was all a lie. The pressures of keeping up this perfect image were becoming unbearable. And soon, the facade would crumble, and with it, a deadly path would unfold. It wasn't long before Sarah started noticing changes in Michael. He became more distant, more irritable. He no longer took the same interest in family events. The laughter at the dinner table was replaced with awkward silences. Michael would spend long hours away from home, and when he was home, he seemed distracted, often lost in his thoughts. Sarah tried to reach out, but Michael always brushed her off, saying he was just stressed from work. But Sarah was no fool. She knew something was wrong. She sensed it. Michael wasn't just stressed. Something deeper, darker was going on inside of him. At first, she thought it might be work pressures, or perhaps he was dealing with some personal issues he didn't want to share. But when she found evidence of financial discrepancies in their accounts, large sums of money missing, her suspicions turned into a cold, hard truth. Michael had been hiding something from her. He wasn't just stressed, he was in trouble. The debt was piling up. But it wasn't just any debt. It was staggering. Michael had been gambling away large amounts of money, even going so far as to borrow money from dangerous people. And now, those debts were coming due. It wasn't just his life at risk anymore. It was his family's life. Sarah confronted Michael. She demanded answers, telling him they needed to work together to fix their financial problems. But Michael didn't want to talk. The confrontation ended in silence, with Sarah wondering just how deep the hole Michael had dug for himself truly was. As the days went on, the situation only worsened. Michael's behavior became more erratic. He would snap at Sarah over the smallest things, his patience wearing thin. The tension in the house was palpable. Sarah had always been there for him, always supported him. But now, she could see that something inside him had broken. Michael's once caring demeanor had turned into cold indifference. As the debts continued to mount, Michael's fear of losing everything began to consume him. He had been living a lie for so long, and the truth was finally catching up to him. But instead of coming clean and facing the consequences, Michael made a choice that would lead to the destruction of his entire family. Michael knew that if his secret came to light, if anyone found out the extent of the debts, the gambling addiction, and the dangerous people he owed money to, he would lose everything. His job, his reputation, his family. Everything would be gone. And so, in the darkness of his mind, he decided that the only way to protect his secret was to protect himself, from everyone. He could no longer let anyone expose him. Not his wife. Not his children. On the night of June 14, 2022, the Thompson family went to bed like any other night. Michael kissed Sarah goodnight, kissed Emily and Luke as they slept soundly in their rooms. Everything seemed normal on the outside. But inside Michael, something was shifting, something violent, something irreversible. Michael waited until the house was silent, until the world outside had quieted down. Then, in the dead of night, he made his move. He went to his children's rooms first. Emily, the 11-year-old, was the first to go. She never had a chance to fight back. Michael used a blunt object to strike her, ending her life in an instant. Then, he moved on to Luke, his 8-year-old son, still sleeping peacefully in his bed. The brutality of the attack was staggering, and by the time it was over, Michael had already taken the first steps in covering up his horrific crime. Next, Michael turned to Sarah. She had been awakened by the noise from the children's rooms. But by the time she realized what was happening, it was too late. Michael, in a fit of rage and fear, turned on her. Sarah never stood a chance. With his hands, he silenced her screams, and in that moment, the last thread of humanity that Michael had left was gone. Once the deed was done, Michael went to great lengths to hide the evidence. He knew that if anyone found out what he had done, there would be no going back. He couldn't risk it. He meticulously staged the crime scene to make it look like a home invasion gone wrong. He moved the bodies to make it appear as if the family had been killed during a break-in. But no matter how hard he tried to erase the truth, the evidence was already beginning to pile up. When Michael called 911 the following morning, claiming that his family had been murdered by intruders, authorities immediately found inconsistencies in his story. The details didn't add up. His alibi faltered. The crime scene didn't fit the story he was telling. It didn't take long for the police to realize that Michael Thompson wasn't the victim, he was the perpetrator. The truth soon came to light. Michael Thompson was arrested and charged with the murders of his wife and children. In the months that followed, the trial revealed the full extent of his horrific actions. It became clear that Michael had murdered his entire family to protect his own secret, a secret that had been consuming him for years. He had been deep in debt, gambling away money he didn't have, borrowing from dangerous people, and spiraling further into desperation. The pressure of keeping this hidden from his family, from his friends, was too much to bear. So, he made the ultimate decision, to silence the people who could expose him. The case became a national sensation, shocking everyone who had once known Michael as the perfect father and husband. It served as a reminder that even the most seemingly perfect families can harbor the darkest secrets. Michael Thompson's horrifying crime shocked the world, and the devastation left behind in the wake of his actions is immeasurable. A family is gone, taken by the very man who was supposed to protect them. The question remains, what could drive a man to commit such a monstrous act? What kind of fear, shame, or desperation would make someone believe that murder was the only way out? We may never fully understand what went on inside Michael's mind. But one thing is certain, the horrific secret he tried so desperately to hide led him down a path of destruction that destroyed not only his family but his own life as well. Thank you for watching. If you found this story unsettling, please like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime content. And remember, sometimes the darkest secrets are the ones hidden behind the smiles of those we trust the most.